So if you are inside a grow garden and you're just struggling to make money, unlike me, I'm going to be showing you how I was able to make this much money, what I'm doing actively to make this much money, and alongside this, just in general stuff you should know, like look at my alt account, almost 7 trillion, just passively making money by doing this method with me. This is going to be how I'm making money, and then this will be applicable to anyone. So do know this does require the first step, or the first method is more harder because you're going to need raccoons, but don't leave. We'll have a non-raccoon version at the end of the video, but additionally we also have a way you can do the raccoon method if you don't even have raccoons. But starting off, do note we are doing a giveaway on this video. Pretty simple to enter. Pretty much if you're wondering what the giveaway is, we're giving away for y'all. If you clicked on this video trying to figure out how to get money, we're giving away a bunch of these things. These things sell for, like, if you have a full friend boost, which is obviously the best way to sell anything, this thing sells for nearly 300 billion. Trying to get more mutations on it, but yeah, these things I'm farming with raccoons once again. So yeah, you could immediately become a trillionaire off of just winning the giveaway. So just comment your username down below to enter into the giveaway. So starting off, the first thing we are going to note is a lot of this is heavily using the new sprinkler systems inside of the new crafting update. So alongside this, we also have, a bunch of new crafting recipes for seeds. So we will go over some of those later, but to a certain extent, they're not really necessary, but we can use to our advantage. But starting off, first and foremost, once again, we are close to 150K subs. So make sure you subscribe, be pretty nice, yeah. And for the Discord nerds, I have a funny thing later in the video to show you. So starting off with what we are going to, I call the setup, right? So if you are using raccoons, what you do need to note is the raccoons do just randomly pick what they're going to go after. So you do need to try to lower the chances or increase the chances of what they're going to chase. So I used to have so much in my garden. Like, I'm gonna be dead honest. I used to have like moon blossoms and all this crap. I deleted everything, like, just so that this thing right here would be higher of like value or like chased down by these 3 raccoons. And it worked, but at what cost? But also, like, realistically, they don't really matter that much. And to a certain extent, they're just a decoration, right? I don't really even care about them at that point, L value in my opinion. The next thing is going to be like after the setup. So if you are using raccoons or going to use raccoons, what you need to do is clear your garden, just once again to get better value. And if you are wanting to do, this is what I was saying about the raccoon method if you don't have raccoons. In my Discord server, you can come on down in there if you want. A ton of people do what's called the raccoon method, and they like ask for other people to do it with them. So I'm looking forward to borrow dragonfly, understand, blah, 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 all this stuff. A lot of people are trying to do the raccoon method with other people. Right, so you should check that out. So you could, get access to, like, if you, pretty much the way it works, right, you could get access to it. If you have a really big valuable plant, so to set this up, I'll show you later in the video. If you have a really big valuable plant, other people will use their raccoons to pick up your plant, and then they give you like half of the crap. So like a 50-50 split. Or if it's vice versa and you have a bunch of raccoons but don't want to, delete half your garden to get a good plant out of the value, you can find someone else that'll do, once again, the same thing. Now, this is very helpful in my opinion when it comes to just in generally getting all this stuff. And if you do want, to get really big chunky plants, all the sprinklers and information I cover in this video will also be covered in more depth in the video that should be showing in the top right corner right now. So I go further into detail about how all this works, which will obviously give you more value, and I'm briefly covering it, but it won't be the full information, so I would recommend checking that out. So starting off with the first setup. So once you do have the plant you're trying to grind, which once again is heavily impacted by the new sprinklers, what we're going to look at is that plant. So to determine which one you have, obviously figure out which one you do have. So if you have something like the moon melon, use it. Moon melon's absurd for everything. If you have candy blossoms, use it. If you have, an ember lily or a sunflower, use it, right? All that, yada, yada, yada. Maybe not even the sunflower. It doesn't even seem to have great value. And if you do have like a sunflower seed and you were wanting to use that, don't place that seed down. It's kind of horrible. It's just if you don't want to have to delete it. So what we're going to do is come on over to the crafting bear, and we're going to find the sprinkler we're going to use to set this up. So there's also a reason why, right? The sprinklers do benefit specific plants, so they have better value on those specific plants if they're affecting it. Normal sprinklers just do everything in range, but if these target specific, like that specific plant, you'll get better value out of it. So if that makes sense, right? So that's why we want to try to target the ones that are specifically in this crafting recipe. So the first one to note is if you are, once again, the reason why I said if you're using the sweet soaker, or not sweet soaker, the moon melon, then use the sweet soaker, because as you see, increases size bonus for watermelon, pumpkin, and moon melon. So this one is absurdly overpowered for that reason alone, right? So to get all this stuff, I also have another video, hopefully if I can remember, also in the top right corner. You can AFK get crap. So like, that's just why I have so many seeds for literally everything. As you see, 16 pepper, 15 cacao, 16 lily, 3 sugar, 12 bean stalks, all this crap, right? Is because I was using that method. And that'll be in the top right, not exploiting. But yeah, that'll be covered in that video. And pretty much the way that video was a simple rundown, just explaining how I was able to pretty much obtain any item you want in the game, right? So if you're like, oh, I want a bunch of master sprinklers to craft these sweet soakers, right? It'll cover all of that. Or I want an ember lily seed because that has better money value than, you know, what I'm currently using. That'll all be in that video. So I would recommend checking that out. So the next thing to note is once you have determined what you're going to use, we're going to go craft, you know, the sprinkler. Obviously I don't have watermelon plants on me, but that's pretty much what you're going to do. So you could craft this, right? Craft, boom, submit all your garbage to it and you get the sweet soaker. So with the sweet soaker, what you're going to do is obviously if you're using moon melons, pretty much just place that down. Do note, I would recommend having at least 1 sweet soaker and an extra master sprinkler because you're going to place down both of them and then like 2 godlies, 2 or 3 godlies, and then advanced, like 5 advanced and 5 basic sprinklers by the stem of the plant. Now you might say, oh, they don't stack. This has been literally said in the game Q&A in the official Discord server where they directly say like sprinkler stack somewhere in it. Do sprinkler of a different rarity stack? Yes. So yeah, sprinklers of different rarity do stack. So, and then on top of that, we also have to note is the more sprinklers you do use, they do stack, kinda. It's hard to explain, but it has been tested and it does work. So that also is something to note. So once you do place these out, sprinkler method, leave the game, come back like 2 hours later or something like that. They should be chunky. Now, if you do have a ton of moon melons, I would recommend moving them all to one section and then keep doing this till you have one that is literally like that big or bigger. Now, the reason why is because this one has such a crazy sell value only because it's that big. Like the size is what matters, those who know. Anyways, though, so once it is big and massive like this, what you're gonna do is clear out or literally delete every other one you have in your base or on your crops, delete them all. Then you're going to rejoin. Also, another thing you can do is I have seen some people do this. What you can do is if you have moon cats, so the moon cats increase moon type plants growing or grow the plants when they're growing, right? So when they're growing, they do their ability while they're like every minute they'll sleep for like 20 seconds or something and they'll make this like little circle. In that circle range, if something's affected by it, then they'll affect it. So if this is more of a pay to win strat, right? So if you have all the sprinklers down, then they start to sleep by it. Then what you do is you come over and buy the grow all and it does that huge flashbang thing. So they make stuff nearly double its original size whenever they do that sleeping ability. So if you do the grow all thing during said, event, they're going to be huge alongside the stacking buffs of the sprinklers. This was shown in some other video I remember, and that's really overpowered. The next thing is going to be mutation stacking. So once again, value only increases the more mutations you have on it. So as you see, this one, rainbow pollinated, celestial, burnt, shocked, moonlit, disco, zombified, honey glazed, frozen, right? More mutations I could get on this. I think the sunflower has more. This one has molten, more stuff like that. This one has crazy sell value. It's the one of these. I think it's this one might have molten. So this just sunflower, how much is this worth? 3 billion, not a lot. Obviously, these are worth more, but regardless, still overpowered. That's going to be the main method, is just the way you do mutation stacking is you just literally stay in the game. And then obviously, as you see, we got the disco bee, we got, the burnt owl, then we got the chicken jockey. All of these are contributing to the pet-based mutations you can get. If you want to check my website, I have a website for this, hold on. So it'll be in the description if you want to check it out. Be like this. You can come on down to the garden calculator. We also have a stock notifier if you don't have a Discord server to do this, which is also in my Discord server, so you check that out. But in the garden calculator, you can scroll on down and see every plant. You can see every plant in the game, and then you can also another note, you can add in mutations, size, friend boost, and all this crap. So I could be like, oh, this plant has rainbow, shocked, frozen, chocolate, moonlit, bloodlit, celestial, disco, zombified, plasma, void touch, pollinated, honey glaze, not dawnbound, heavenly, cooked, burnt, molten, meteoric. Now it has a 34,000 increase, right? And let's say this is a ember lily, and said ember lily is 50 kg. Said plant is now worth 32 billion. Boom. Stack on a friend boost. Actually, this one is bigger than average. This one is 100 kg. Boom. It's worth that much. Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much the way that works. That'll be in the description. This is just so you can see the value increase on mutations, but you do need to stack mutations for that reason alone and get a base mutation. So base mutations mutations are like gold and rainbow. This is the only thing going to make it worth billions or trillions on this base is if you have one of those. So if you don't have a base gold or rainbow, you're cooked. So anyways, though, with all those in mind, you can use the raccoon method where you have an alt account, all of this stuff, just AFKing with raccoons that are going over and collecting the plants. And then for the free to play method, pretty much what you're going to need to do is, as said before, is use the raccoons from someone else. Like it pretty much will only revolve around raccoons. But if you do not want to use raccoons, the one thing you can do is don't do the previous step where I said to delete every crop, to like optimize raccoons for the big one. Leave everything in, get them to be about as big as you can normally, like consistently. Like you're not going to consistently pull something this big. Stack just the main common mutations that have the biggest value increase. Like I would say try to get pollinated, shock. If you have the disco bee, disco, moonlit, all those normal ones that are commonly obtainable, you can get AFK for like a few hours to get all these, and then claim all of them and sell them and just rinse and repeat this. You'll make your money and all this crap. And while you're AFKing, you can grind for the next stuff. So like you can AFK grind for gear, for the sprinklers and all this crap, which will be once again in that one video I mentioned earlier, or hopefully if I remember to at the end of this video. Anyways though, yeah, thanks so much for watching.